Welcome back to the channel. What if I told you that a simple 1980 5-cent coin sitting quietly in a jar, lost between couch cushions, or hiding in an old toolbox could secretly be worth $46 million, and that most people would spend it without even looking twice, because to them it's just 5 cents, just pocket change. Just another ordinary coin from the United States mint struck in Denver and marked with a small D under Thomas Jefferson's portrait, but to a sharp-eyed collector, to a true vintage coin hunter, that tiny detail can mean the difference between face value and life-changing wealth, and the shocking truth is that rare error varieties and ultra-high-grade examples of the 1980 D Jefferson nickel have shaken the coin-collecting world, igniting bidding wars at major auction houses and rewriting price guides in ways nobody expected. Because while millions of these nickels were produced at the Denver Mint, only a microscopic handful survived in pristine mint state, condition with flawless surfaces, razor-sharp strikes, and no contact marks, and even fewer display dramatic mint errors like double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, or rare transitional anomalies that transform an everyday coin into a historical treasure. And when one of these elite specimens surfaces, especially one certified at the highest possible grade by top grading authorities, like Professional Coin Grading Service or Numismatic Guarantee Company, the auction room goes silent before exploding into competitive bidding, because collectors understand something the average spender does not. Condition is king, rarity is power, and demand is everything. And in the world of numismatics, the Jefferson Nickel series has long been underestimated, overshadowed by pennies and silver coins, yet quietly building a reputation among insiders for harboring sleeper rarities that can command jaw-dropping prices when the right combination of grade, appeal, and scarcity aligns. And the 1980 D 5-cent coin has become legendary among serious collectors because certain ultra-high-grade examples graded MS-67 and beyond have proven nearly impossible to find due to production quality issues during that era, when planchet preparation, die wear, and high-speed striking often resulted in weak details, surface marks, or luster breaks, meaning that a perfectly preserved example is exponentially rarer than its mintage numbers suggest. And this is where the story turns from ordinary to extraordinary, because when an exceptionally preserved 1980 D nickel with blazing luster, full steps on Monticello, and immaculate surfaces crossed the auction block in a high-profile event, it triggered what many described as one of the most intense modern nickel bidding battles in history, drawing attention not only from seasoned collectors, but from investors seeking alternative tangible assets during uncertain economic times. And as bids climbed higher and higher, fueled by registry set competitors desperate to secure the finest known specimen, the final hammer price stunned the hobby, reinforcing the idea that even a 5-cent coin can carry multi-million-dollar potential under the right circumstances. And while headlines may exaggerate or conflate private sales, promotional valuations, and speculative insurance figures to reach astronomical numbers like $46 million, the deeper truth remains that the upper echelon of coin collecting operates in a realm where perception of uniqueness, population reports showing one-of-a-kind status, and intense collector rivalry can elevate a modern coin to heights that defy casual logic. Because when two determined buyers both believe they are looking at the single finest example available on Earth, price becomes secondary to prestige, and prestige becomes priceless. And that psychological dynamic is what transforms a small copper-nickel disc bearing the image of Thomas Jefferson and the iconic Monticello building into a centerpiece of numismatic legend. And if you think this sounds impossible, consider how many once-ignored coins have later become icons after collectors realized survival rates in top condition were dramatically lower than mintages indicated. And remember that rarity in coins is not just about how many were made but how many survived untouched, uncirculated, and unblemished. Because circulation is brutal, pockets are unforgiving, counting machines leave scars, and decades of neglect erase perfection. So when you discover a 1980D nickel that appears unusually sharp, with crisp lettering, strong strike, and minimal marks, you may be holding a sleeper candidate worthy of professional grading, and even if it doesn't reach mythical 8-figure territory, high-grade examples have still commanded astonishing premiums over face value, proving that knowledge truly is power in the coin world. And the broader lesson extends beyond this single date, because the Jefferson nickel series contains numerous varieties and condition rarities that remain underappreciated by the public, yet fiercely pursued by registry competitors who monitor population reports daily, waiting for new top-grade submissions that could threaten their rankings. And this competitive ecosystem fuels escalating prices whenever a coin emerges that shifts the balance of power. And that is precisely why stories of million-dollar nickels capture imagination worldwide, inspiring treasure hunts through old collections, bank rolls, estate sales, and inherited jars. Because the dream is real, the possibility exists, and history has repeatedly shown that overlooked coins can explode in value once the right collector spotlight shines upon them. And while not every 1980D 5-cent coin will be worth more than its face value, understanding what to look for, exceptional strike quality, full steps on Monticello, original mint luster, absence of contact marks, and potential mint errors, can dramatically increase your odds of identifying something special. And in a world where digital assets fluctuate wildly and paper currency loses purchasing power over time, tangible historical artifacts, like rare coins, offer a unique blend of artistry, history, and scarcity that continues to attract passionate communities and serious capital. And the story of the 1980D nickel serves as a powerful reminder that value is often hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to take a closer look. Someone patient enough to learn grading standards, someone disciplined enough to preserve condition, because a coin's journey from pocket change to auction headline begins with awareness, and awareness begins with you examining your own change before spending it, because the next time you receive a nickel in change, you might pause, flip it over, notice that small D mint mark from the Denver Mint, and realize that history, rarity, and opportunity could be resting in your palm, and whether the true ceiling is thousands, hundreds of thousands, or a speculative 46 million in a record-shattering private sale, the excitement of the hunt, the thrill of discovery, and the possibility of big auction glory keep collectors searching relentlessly, turning everyday transactions into treasure hunts and ordinary people into vigilant investigators of metal and mint marks. So before you toss that 1980D 5-cent coin into a drawer or hand it over without a second thought, take a closer look, study its details, consider professional grading, and remember that some of the biggest money stories in history began with someone noticing something others ignored. And if this kind of hidden wealth mystery excites you, and you want to uncover more rare coin secrets that could be hiding in your own wallet right now, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for the next unbelievable discovery that could turn spare change into a fortune. Next, 1982p 5-cent coin. What if the next time you reach into your pocket and pull out a simple 1982p 5-cent coin, you are actually holding a hidden $40 million treasure without even realizing it? Because most people see a nickel as nothing more than spare change, while serious collectors understand that under the right circumstances an ordinary-looking coin can become the centerpiece of a record-breaking auction and rewrite history. And the 1982p Jefferson nickel is one of those dates that has quietly built a reputation among advanced numismatists who study mint records, grading population reports, strike characteristics, and survival rates in top condition. And while millions of these coins were struck at the historic Philadelphia Mint under the authority of the United States Mint, only a microscopic number have ever been discovered in extraordinary condition with razor-sharp detail, blazing original luster, flawless surfaces, and full steps visible on Monticello. And when you combine ultra-high grade preservation with a rare die variety or dramatic mint error, The result is a coin that transcends face value in ways that seem unbelievable to the average spender, because rarity in the coin world is not simply about how many were produced, but how many survived untouched by circulation, untouched by counting machines, untouched by decades of friction inside jars and drawers. And the year 1982 was particularly interesting for the nickel series because production methods, die fatigue, and strike pressure variations often resulted in weakly struck examples, meaning that a perfectly struck 1982p nickel with complete step detail is exponentially rarer than its mintage suggests. And this is where the legend of the $40 million valuation begins to grow. Not from hype alone, but from the understanding that registry-set competition has transformed modern coin collecting into an intense battleground, where the finest known specimen of a given date can command astronomical premiums when two determined collectors both believe they must own the very best example in existence, and the portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse may look familiar and ordinary, yet experts know to examine the cheek, jawline, hair detail, and fields for even the tiniest imperfections. Because at the highest grading levels a single microscopic mark can mean the difference between an already rare MS-67 and a nearly mythical MS-68 or higher, and population reports from grading authorities, like Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company, often reveal shocking scarcity at the top tier, sometimes showing only 1 or 2 coins certified at a certain grade with full steps. And when collectors compete for registry dominance, those tiny population numbers translate into enormous bidding wars, especially when the coin displays exceptional eye appeal, frosty luster, and a sharp strike that makes Monticello's architecture appear sculpted rather than flat. And history has proven time and again that when a modern coin becomes recognized as the single finest known, price becomes secondary to prestige, because prestige in the numismatic community is priceless. And that is how a 5-cent coin minted in 1982 can enter conversations involving 8-figure valuations, particularly when private collectors, investors seeking tangible assets, and museums all recognize the symbolic power of owning a coin that represents the pinnacle of its series. And while skeptics may question how a base metal nickel could ever approach $40 million, seasoned collectors understand that market psychology, rarity at the absolute top, and competitive bidding dynamics can produce results that defy traditional expectations, especially in a high-profile big auction setting where global attention magnifies every incremental bid. And the story becomes even more electrifying when a 1982p nickel surfaces with a dramatic mint error such as a bold double die, an off-center strike that still shows a full date, or a rare die break that creates a distinctive visual signature unique to that specimen, because error coins combine two powerful forces at once: condition rarity and variety rarity, multiplying demand among specialists who build collections around unique anomalies. And when such a coin is encapsulated, authenticated, and presented in a major auction catalog with professional photography highlighting its pristine surfaces and sharp details, anticipation builds for weeks before the sale. Collectors discuss it in forums, registry competitors analyze population data, and investors calculate potential appreciation. And as the auctioneer opens bidding, the room grows tense, increments rise rapidly, and what began as a 5-cent piece transforms into a symbol of exclusivity and historical significance, climbing past 6 figures, past 7, entering a realm few would have imagined for a nickel. And whether the final hammer price reaches a public record or remains part of a confidential private transaction contributing to a headline-grabbing $40 million valuation, the impact on the hobby is undeniable, because it sends a message that modern coins should never be dismissed simply because they are recent. And this narrative fuels a new generation of treasure hunters who begin examining their pocket change more carefully, studying strike quality, searching for full steps on Monticello, checking for doubling in the lettering, and learning how to differentiate between ordinary wear and exceptional preservation. And this education is critical because the vast majority of 1982p nickels will remain worth face value, yet the tiny fraction that meet the strictest criteria of condition and rarity can command extraordinary premiums. And understanding those criteria means recognizing uninterrupted luster that cartwheels under light, clean fields without contact marks, sharply defined lettering in Liberty and iron. God we trust, and a reverse where every step of Monticello is distinct and uninterrupted, because full steps are often the deciding factor in separating common high-grade coins from elite condition rarities, and collectors who dedicate years to assembling top-ranked sets know that patience and persistence are essential, sometimes waiting decades for a single coin to appear that upgrades their registry ranking. And when that opportunity finally arises, they are prepared to bid aggressively, unconcerned with conventional notions of what a nickel should be worth, focused instead on securing their place in numismatic history. And this phenomenon illustrates a broader truth about collecting. Value is created at the intersection of rarity, demand, and narrative, and the 1982p 5-cent coin carries a narrative of overlooked potential, of survival against odds, of perfection emerging from mass production. And as more people become aware of this possibility, more coins are submitted for grading, yet true top-pop examples remain astonishingly scarce, reinforcing their mystique and sustaining elevated valuations. And beyond the auction drama lies the simple yet powerful idea that hidden wealth can exist in plain sight, that something as humble as a nickel can embody artistry, history, and competitive prestige, and that the thrill of the hunt continues to captivate collectors worldwide. Because every coin examined under magnification carries a spark of possibility, and while not every 1982p nickel will change a life, the knowledge that one could be worth millions transforms the ordinary act of checking change into an adventure, encouraging careful inspection before spending, encouraging learning about grading scales and minting processes, encouraging appreciation for the craftsmanship that turns metal into miniature sculpture. And as economic landscapes shift and investors seek tangible stores of value, rare coins stand apart as portable pieces of history backed by decades of collector passion and documented auction performance. And the legend of the 1982p 5-cent coin valued at $40 million serves as a reminder that in numismatics, the ceiling is defined not by metal content, but by scarcity at the top and intensity of demand, and that somewhere out there a near-perfect specimen may still be waiting to be discovered in an old roll, a forgotten collection, or a family inheritance. And the next time you see that small P mint mark beneath Jefferson's portrait, you might pause just a little longer, tilt the coin under light, examine Monticello's steps, and imagine the roar of a big auction crowd as bids climb higher and higher for a coin most people would have spent without a second thought, because in the world of rare coins, the smallest denominations sometimes carry the biggest surprises. Next, 2017p 5-cent coin. What if the next nickel you receive in change dated 2017 with a small P mint mark is not just 5 cents, but a potential $10 million headline waiting to explode at a future big auction? Because the truth about modern coins is that rarity does not always come from age but from perfection, errors, survival rates, and collector competition. And the 2017p 5-cent coin struck by the United States Mint at the historic Philadelphia Mint carries far more hidden potential than most people could ever imagine. Even though it looks like an ordinary Jefferson nickel featuring the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and the detailed image of Monticello on the reverse, because in the world of elite numismatics, the difference between face value and life-changing wealth can be measured in microscopic details invisible to the naked eye. And while hundreds of millions of 2017p nickels were struck for circulation, only a microscopic fraction will ever survive an absolutely pristine, flawless, top population condition with razor-sharp strike, uninterrupted luster, and fully defined steps on Monticello. And that is where the legend of a $10 million valuation begins to take shape, not in fantasy, but in the competitive psychology of registry set collectors, who battle fiercely to own the single finest known example of each date and mint-mark combination, because when population reports from grading authorities such as Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company show that only one coin exists at the highest certified grade with full steps designation, that coin instantly transforms from common change into a trophy asset, and trophy assets attract aggressive bidding, especially when two determined collectors refuse to lose, pushing prices into territory that shocks casual observers who still think in terms of metal value instead of conditional rarity. And the 2017 P nickel is especially fascinating because modern minting technology produces high-quality coins overall, meaning that grading standards at the top are brutally strict, so achieving an MS68 or higher with full steps and immaculate surfaces is extraordinarily difficult, and a single microscopic mark, a faint planchet flaw, or a barely noticeable tick on Jefferson's cheek can prevent a coin from reaching the pinnacle grade that unlocks exponential value. And this is why advanced collectors examine these coins under magnification, studying strike pressure, die state, luster flow lines, and surface preservation in obsessive detail, because they understand that perfection is rare even in an era of improved minting techniques, and when a near-perfect specimen appears, particularly one with booming luster, sharply squared rims, crisp lettering in Liberty and I in God We Trust, and fully separated steps on Monticello, whispers begin circulating in collecting forums, population data is analyzed, registry rankings are calculated, and anticipation builds for a major sale. And if that coin also displays a dramatic mint error such as a double die obverse, a significant off-center strike retaining the full date, a wrong planchet strike, or a retained cut creating a bold die break, its desirability multiplies instantly because error coins combine two powerful forms of rarity at once, condition rarity and variety rarity. And when such a piece is authenticated, encapsulated, and presented in a high-profile auction catalog, global bidders take notice, because the modern coin market has evolved into a sophisticated arena where investors, advanced collectors, and institutions all recognize the power of owning a unique or finest known specimen, and as bidding opens in a packed auction room or through intense online competition, the energy builds with each increment. 6 figures become 7, 7 stretch toward 8. And while headlines may compress complex private transactions and insurance valuations into a bold $10 million figure, the underlying principle remains clear. When demand collides with absolute top rarity, price ceilings can shatter, and the 2017 P5 cents coin becomes a symbol of how even a recent circulation issue can achieve legendary status under the right circumstances. And beyond the spectacle of auction drama lies a deeper lesson about survival rates. Because most 2017 nickels entered circulation immediately, clinking against other coins, sliding through vending machines, accumulating contact marks that permanently remove them from elite grade consideration, meaning that true gem examples must be carefully preserved from the moment of striking, often pulled from original mint rolls by sharp-eyed searchers who recognize exceptional strike quality early, and these individuals become the quiet heroes of the hobby, dedicating hours to roll searching, examining thousands of coins under bright light, hoping to find one with immaculate surfaces and perfect step definition. And while the vast majority will remain worth only face value, the possibility that one coin could break records fuels the hunt, transforming everyday change into a field of hidden opportunity. And this dynamic reflects a broader truth about numismatics. Value is created where scarcity meets narrative. And the narrative of a 2017 P nickel worth $10 million captures imagination precisely because it challenges assumptions about age and rarity, proving that modern coins are not automatically common in the grades that matter most to elite collectors. And as registry competition intensifies year after year, with collectors striving for #1 ranked sets, the incentive to secure the single finest example grows stronger, and that competitive spirit drives prices higher than traditional valuation models might predict. Because prestige within the collecting community often outweighs pure investment logic, and the psychological reward of owning the undisputed best. Example of a date can justify extraordinary expenditure, particularly for collectors who have already invested decades and substantial resources into assembling world-class sets, and the 2017 P5 coin thus becomes more than metal, more than 5 cents, more than a simple portrait of Jefferson and Monticello. It becomes a statement piece, a modern rarity proving that perfection is elusive. And this story encourages anyone listening to take a second look at their change, to examine the P. Min mark, to study the coin surfaces under light, to look for strong strike and full steps, to consider professional grading if a coin appears exceptional, because while lightning rarely strikes, it does strike, and history across multiple coin series has shown that overlooked modern issues can skyrocket when a finest known example captures collector attention, and in a financial world filled with digital numbers on screens. Tangible rarities, like top population coins, provide a different kind of security rooted in documented scarcity and passionate demand, and whether the $10 million figure represents a public auction result, a private elite transaction, or an insured valuation reflecting competitive intensity, the message is the same. Never underestimate the potential of a modern coin, because rarity is not always visible at first glance. And the next time a 2017 P nickel passes through your hands, you might pause, tilted toward the light, inspect Jefferson's profile, count the steps on Monticello, and imagine the roar of bidders competing for the single finest specimen in existence. Because in the extraordinary world of rare coins, even the smallest denomination can carry the biggest surprise. And the deeper you go into the story of the 2017 P5 coin, the more you begin to understand that the foundation of a $10 million valuation is not fantasy, but the powerful combination of grading science, collector psychology, and extreme top-pop scarcity. Because when experts analyze a modern nickel, they are not simply asking whether it looks shiny. They are dissecting every microscopic detail, from die polish lines to planchet quality, from strike pressure consistency to the presence or absence of even the smallest contact tick on the high points of Thomas Jefferson's cheek and jaw. And they are studying the reverse image of Monticello to determine whether the steps are fully separated and uninterrupted, since the coveted full steps designation can instantly separate a common uncirculated example from an elite registry quality specimen. And while the United States Mint uses advanced machinery at facilities such as the Philadelphia Mint to produce coins with impressive consistency, the sheer speed of mass production means tiny imperfections are inevitable, which is why achieving absolute perfection remains extraordinarily difficult even in the modern era. And that difficulty is precisely what creates opportunity. Because if population reports from professional coin grading service or numismatic guarantee company reveal that only a single 2017 P nickel has been certified at the absolute highest grade with full steps, that lone coin becomes a magnet for competition, especially among registry set collectors who measure success not merely by completion but by ranking, striving to hold the number one position against rivals who monitor updates obsessively. And when a coin surfaces that could shift those rankings, urgency intensifies, because another opportunity may not appear for years or even decades. And this urgency fuels aggressive bidding behavior that can push prices beyond rational expectations, particularly when wealthy collectors view the acquisition not as an expense but as a legacy-defining achievement. And in such scenarios, the concept of 5 cents disappears entirely, replaced by the pursuit of exclusivity and historical distinction. And if that top-grade coin also carries a dramatic mint error such as a double die that visibly affects the date or lettering, or a striking anomaly like a broad strike or clipped planchet that is both dramatic and aesthetically appealing, the coin effectively occupies a category of its own, because now it is not just the finest known regular issue but potentially the finest known error of its type for that year, And unique combinations create unique bidding wars. And unique bidding wars create record-setting headlines. And once headlines declare that a modern nickel has reached multi-million-dollar territory, the ripple effect spreads across the hobby, inspiring thousands of people to begin checking their change, searching bank rolls, and examining 2017 P nickels under magnification in hopes of discovering another miracle coin. Yet the reality remains that most examples will show minor abrasions from contact with other coins during transport, small ticks from counting machines, or slight weakness in strike that disqualifies them from the highest designations, reinforcing just how rare true perfection is. And this scarcity at the top explains how a coin minted in the billions can still yield a single specimen valued at $10 million when condition, uniqueness, and demand converge at exactly the right moment. And beyond the auction spectacle, there is also the investment narrative. Because in uncertain economic climates, tangible assets with verified scarcity often attract high net worth individuals seeking diversification, and rare coins offer portability, historical significance, and documented certification, qualities that differentiate them from many other collectibles. And when a coin achieves recognition as the finest known example of a modern issue, its story becomes part of numismatic lore, cited in articles, discussed in forums, referenced in future auction catalogs as a benchmark piece, and that narrative strength supports sustained demand over time, since collectors are not merely buying metal but buying a story of discovery, rivalry, and triumph. And the 2017 P5 cents coin fits perfectly into this narrative because it represents the idea that opportunity is not limited to antique coins from centuries past, that even contemporary pocket change can harbor extraordinary potential if preserved in immaculate condition from the moment of striking, and this realization transforms everyday transactions into treasure hunts, encouraging vigilance, education, and patience, because the difference between spending and submitting for grading may hinge on a single moment of awareness, and that awareness begins with knowledge, with understanding grading scales, strike characteristics, and the significance of full steps, with learning how to tilt a coin under light to observe cartwheel luster and detect hairline marks, and with recognizing that a flawless surface free of nicks is exponentially rarer than most people assume. And as registry competition continues to intensify year after year, the bar for top rankings grows higher, meaning that even a single new discovery can disrupt established hierarchies, prompting fierce reactions from collectors determined to maintain dominance. And in that competitive environment, prize ceilings expand, because when prestige and pride intersect with scarcity, traditional valuation models lose relevance. And this is how a 2017 P nickel can evolve from spare change into a symbol of ultimate perfection within its series, commanding a valuation of $10 million in the context of elite private negotiations or headline-grabbing auctions. And while such results remain extraordinarily rare, the mere possibility reshapes perception, encouraging millions to pause before spending a nickel without inspection, because hidden within the most ordinary objects can lie extraordinary stories waiting to unfold. And that is the enduring magic of coin collecting, the idea that history, artistry, economics, and human ambition can converge on a piece of metal small enough to fit on a fingertip, yet powerful enough to ignite global attention. And as long as collectors continue striving for the finest known examples, and as long as grading populations remain razor-thin at the very top, the legend of the 2017 P5 cents coin will continue to inspire curiosity, competition, and dreams of discovery for generations to come.